Good morning. Welcome to Monday morning quiz number 8. This is Nanda from PQSI. For those who are getting into Monday morning quiz for the first time, a very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for the feedback that a few of you had given fantastic feedback of how to make this event more entertaining and more interesting. So we have actually thought about it, and a few valuable suggestions are being implemented immediately, and you will be able to see those details as we move on with this presentation. As you all know, right from the last quiz, which was MMQ7, we said we will do a quiz questions on some of the graphical outputs that you get. So last week we had a graphical output from GaugePack software, which is on a Gauge R&R study. And this week we have a graphical output from Minitab software, and which is going to be on linearity study. So all these are for the next 2 or 3 episodes. We'll have this graphical interpretation kind of a quiz, and then we'll keep on changing a few minor changes just to keep it more interesting and more value add for those who are listening to this, following us up on this wonderful initiative of enhancing the fundamental understanding of tools like measurement system analysis, statistical process control, calibration, and all that. So thank you so much for all the valuable suggestions that you've given, which has made us work more, which has helped us to really think about how we can add more value to this, close to 15 minutes video presentation that you are likely to see. So for those who are beginning to get into a Monday morning quiz, this is a quiz that happens once every 2 weeks. So in a month you'll have 2 quizzes. So this is MMQ8, so which will be which is now posted on the 20th of September 2021. The next Monday the results will be announced, and the following Monday you will have MMQ9. So that's how it happens. And with regard to what happens and how are the winners selected, the first 3 respondents with correct answers for all the 3 statements. Remember, all our questions are true or false statements. So the first 3 correct answers from the respondents will be awarded, and we will share more details about what it is and what it is when you become a winner of Monday morning quiz. So a lot of interesting data that we are trying to consolidate based on the responses. It's a wonderful list of data because we have enough responses now on which we can do some analysis to find out which area we should actually focus on enhancing the fundamental knowledge. Is it MSA, is it SPC, is it calibration, or in MSA what type, what tools? So those are the kind of things that enough data is available. But as we move on, probably when we are on the 25th edition of MMQ, I think we'll have enough data for us to really present a paper on where we are going wrong and where organizations and HR and L&D teams should focus on imparting skills that can add value to the organization. So with these few opening remarks, let me move on to the PPT directly to give you a flair about what this Monday morning quiz is all about. Since last episode, we had actually we made a small change, which we continue, where we declare the questions first before discussing the answers for the previous quiz. So that's how it is. So this quiz also, MMQ8 also will have first, we will declare, we will announce the quiz questions for this episode, followed by an explanation of the 3 statements that we had asked in the previous quiz, that was MMQ7, and finally we will declare the winners of MMQ7. Right. So this is how it is going. So let me now start sharing my screen so that you'll be able to see the presentation of Monday morning quiz. Right. So this is Monday morning quiz number 8 from PQSI. And here goes the 2 important feedbacks before we get into the actual quiz. So this is what I was mentioning earlier, that based on your feedback, we have made a few changes. And as since the number of responses were increasing, and I had a back office team, a wonderful back office team, they were able to write a very simple script. Okay, so just to give you a clear idea about how this process of selecting the winners and then declaring that is happening. So whenever you enter, as you, some of you will already be familiar that there is a Google form that will be in the comment section of in the description of the YouTube video. And once you get into this Google form, you'll have an opportunity to answer to those three statements, and that is that gets into an Excel sheet which is automated, which is the back office has developed a nice script which automatically identifies the top three respondents with correct answer, and it also gives me a percentage of how many people responded correctly. So I straight away get for question number 1, question number 2, question number 3, how much percentage of correct responses, and that gives me an idea about which questions were tougher or which questions had more issues, etc. And followed by the back office also ensures that that slide of the winners is also ready. So what it means is, because I was finding it difficult to go through some of the responses and all that, so now we have automated. Now the flip side of it is, of course, I will not be able to know who actually responded to my quiz, except that I'll only have some data analytics to know how many respondents, how many got it correctly, and all that. So what it means for some of you is that you don't have to worry about attempting to answer, because it's all done by the system. It's all automated. The process is automated. So these are some of the interesting kaizens, if you would like to term it, as we have done. So it saves a lot of time, saves the accuracy, and there's no ambiguity about the results. Another interesting thing that we've started from MQ8 is that, again, a very interesting feedback from two winners. So they said, you're saying that, you can get a free nomination for our next online program. But because we are, attempting these quiz in our personal capacities, so sometimes we may not be able to attend that online workshop. So, which means, we lose that opportunity. So we was just thinking that why not we, take it much easier, and after all, this is done personally with a lot of hard work and all that. So we thought we will announce some interesting, gifts to the winners. So for those who are winning from the district of Chennai, so you will win 1,000 rupees worth gift voucher from Bombay Stan, a place known for its faludas. Some of you would probably know about this. So this is, of course, they have outlets in Chennai, and that's the reason why for those who are in Chennai, a win in this quiz means that probably you'll get a voucher, which probably you can take with your family to the nearest Bombay Stan outlet and enjoy. And for those who are outside Chennai, we do get quite a lot of responses from people outside Chennai. So for them, we also wanted to give something similar. So we thought we will give them an Amazon gift card worth ₹1,000, so that they can do some online shopping with that and then enjoy. So it could be books, it could be anything, again, or some gifts for the family members. So this is the change. So we no longer offer the free training of the online program. Of course, for your information, our entire training modules are also going to be uploaded into a learning platform, so which will be soon announced. Maybe another 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now, we will have PQSI's learning management system in place. And there are a lot of plans that we have. We use technology to ensure that you do get the knowledge enhancement happening seamlessly as a company or as an individual. So these are the changes that I thought I'll share with you in the first slide. So the first change is, it's the process is now automated. So I don't have to, really look at, the right answers, etc., etc. All that is done. And then we have a back office which can again collect the photograph from the three winners, get that slide organized, so it saves. And the second thing is about the winners get a merit certificate. There is a merit certificate that comes from PQSI. Along with that, instead of a free nomination for our program, we thought we'll give them gift vouchers. So for those in Chennai, it could be a gift voucher from Bombay Stan, which they can go to any outlets and do it. For those outside Chennai, there is an Amazon gift card worth ₹1,000. So this is, I hope you will be happy with this announcement. A few winners actually requested to give something else other than a free nomination because of their own difficulties, right? And I hope they will be very happy with this announcement. So now let me move on to the question for this edition of quiz, MMQ number 8, dated 20th September 2021. This is on, as I told you, the next 3 or 4 quizzes will be on interpreting the graphical output. This is a graphical output from Minitab. I'm sure most of you will be familiar with Minitab. This is the output that we get from a linearity study. Okay, so in the MSA manual, you have a study called as a linearity study. So this is the output that you get from Minitab. All right. So the questions, the 3 statements will be based on this output. So this is the output of linearity. So an instrument's linearity from 2 mm or 2 kg or whatever it is, the unit is not important here. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So that's the measuring range of the instrument. And they do a linearity study. And as you all know, this is on the y-axis you have the bias, and on the x-axis you have the measuring range. So that's how the regression line is drawn and all that. So on this, let me give you my 3 statements, which you have to say whether it is true or false. So these are the 3 statements on this graphical output from Minitab. The first statement is the gauge is not acceptable. So that's the first statement related to this output. So you need to tell me whether it is true or false. The second statement is slope, okay, is significant. Okay, in some of the manuals, it will be referred as TA, okay, so the slope is significant. And the statement number 3 is the y-intercept is not significant. So there are 3 statements pertaining to this output. The gauge is not acceptable. You need to tell me whether it is a true statement or false. The second statement is slope is significant. In this case, you need to look at the output and let me know whether it is the right answer or wrong. It's a true statement or false. And the third statement is y-intercept is not significant. Right? Again, we need to look at the graphical output, and then you need to record your answers in the Google Sheet whether it's true or false. So these are the 3 statements on linearity study. And linearity, as you all know, is such a very important aspect of MSA. Typically, when you're looking at long-range measuring instruments, be it a weighing machine, for example, of course, in all my recent consulting assignments where I do it for process industries, weighment is very important. It could be pharma, it could be chemicals, it could be tire manufacturing. Wherever it is, weighment is very critical. And many times we use weighing machines with a larger range. We may weigh 5 kg, we may also measure 40 kg on the same weighing system. So in such cases, linearity is critical. Good knowledge of linearity is very important. As per MSA 4th edition, we need to understand how to do linearity study. There are softwares. Minitab is one such software where people use and then come up with this kind of a graphical output. What is more important is the interpretation of this output, and that's the purpose of Monday morning quiz, right? So that's the quiz for MMQ number 8. So now we move on to the next section of explanation for MMQ number 7. So this was the quiz that we had asked on 6th September 2021, which is on gauge R&R study. And this output was from another software called GaugePack from PQ Systems. And these were the 3 statements that we had asked. Okay, so whether it is true or false. So let's look at the answer straight away. So let's look at the first statement. The first statement which we asked was Appriser B is inconsistent, right? So this is a kind of a set of graphs that you have. So this is the, on the top left, you have the average chart, and the bottom you have the range chart. A range chart is the one that we need to look at when you are looking at consistency. So if you look at Appriser 2, Appriser B, most of his range values are much higher as compared to the other two. And that is why we can confidently say that Appriser B is inconsistent. Appriser B is inconsistent. So the right answer is true. And I'm happy to announce that 67% of the respondents got it correctly. Now in Gauge Pack, they also give you another output called Appriser Inconsistency. So it's something similar to your main FX plot. So they give a plot exclusively on inconsistency. So one dot representing each appraiser. So even in this chart, if you look at it, Appriser B is outside the control limit. So he is significantly different from the rest. So he is inconsistent. So the answer is, so either you look at the range chart or the Appriser inconsistency chart. So it looks that yes, Appriser B is inconsistent. So the answer is true. 67% got it right. Congratulations to all those who got that correctly. The next question we'd asked was, no significant difference in bias between appraisers A, B, and C. Now this is a tricky question, right? If you look at the appraiser average chart, okay, sometimes even in other softwares like Minitab, you get the 6-pack output, which also shows this, okay, the appraiser average run chart. So if you look at this chart, you don't see much of a difference, but you will probably feel yes or no. But what Gauge Pack does is Gauge Pack also gives you the appraiser bias plot. Appraiser bias plot tells you that there is significant difference between the three. So appraiser A is completely outside the upper control limit. Appraiser B is completely outside the below the lower control limit, and appraiser B is inside. So this is another confirmation that yes, there is significant bias between appraisers. Now, even if you look at this chart, the appraiser average run chart, if you look at appraiser C, he is always measuring things smaller as against the other two. So there is, and if you look at appraiser A, he's probably measuring it higher. So that also gives it. But the main FX plot, which is given interestingly by Gauge Pack software, the appraiser bias chart, this is what tells you. This is what tells you that yes, there is significant bias between appraisers. So the statement is false. So the correct answer for statement number 2 is false. And I'm happy that a significant number of them got this correct. So 83% of the respondents got this correctly, right? So this is statement number 2. Moving on to statement number 3. Statement number 3, measurement variation is less. Percentage R&R will be less than 10% in this case. That's what was the statement. So this is again, I understood that from the graph, many people found it little difficult to understand. So if you look at the MSA 4th edition manual, they mention it very clearly. A control chart, when you're looking at an average control chart after doing an MSA study, the control limits should be closer, as close as possible. Closer the control limits, better. In fact, in other words, they also say, if you draw a control chart with MSA data, the data of an MSA study, if you draw an average control chart, the manual says, if you get all points outside the limits, if you get all points outside the limits, it is a good measuring system. What does it mean? What does it tell you? It tells you that your measurement variation is much, much smaller compared to the sample variation. So the distance between the control limits is what tells you about the measurement variation. If you look at this average control chart, the first chart on the left hand side, if you look at that chart, the control limits are fairly wider, and you can also see a few points are inside the control limits. So which only tells you that there is significant measurement variation. And in fact, you are likely to get a much higher gauge R and R value. So for the benefit of you to get better explanation, so let me share with you the gauge pack screen itself so that you'll understand what is happening here. Okay, so this is the data and these are the charts, right? So you have your so look at this X bar R chart, and the control limits are not very closer to the mean. There is some gap here, so that tells you that there is some amount of measurement variation, and a few data points are inside the limits. So in these cases, we expect a little higher R and R. So let's now look at the R and R results. So if you look at the R and R results, the R and R we got is 26.68%. So that's the R and R that we got, 26.68%. So which is why we say that, closer the limits, the R and R percentage will be less. If all points are outside the control limits, the R and R will be less. But here, because the limits were a little wider and we also have some points within the limits, you will have a much higher R and R. So R and R is 26%. Of course, NDC is okay, so it gives a green signal. So that's the most interesting part about GaugePack software. It gives you indications wherever required. So NDC 5 is acceptable, so it gives you a green signal, but the R and R is 26.68. So it is much, much larger than the 10%. So this is how graphically we interpret. Okay, so let's go back to the PPT. So this is the answer is false. The R and R is much higher than 10%, right? And only 50% got this right. I understand. Of course, there were some feedback that the graphical output was not very clear to a few people. I sincerely apologize for that, and we will ensure that in the forthcoming graphical quizzes, we will ensure that the resolution of the picture is much, much better, right? But nevertheless, with this limitation, sometimes the pitch is not very good, but instead of complaining about the pitch, there are a few winners as well, right? So let's look at who are those three winners of the Monday morning quiz number 8. Mr. Irappa Hunnur, Head Quality, Varrock Engineering Limited, Aurangabad. Mr. S. Sivaraman, Manager Lean Six Sigma, Carborundum Universal, Chennai. Mr. Vijaya Sundaresan E, HR Executive, Apollo Tyres, Chennai. In fact, congratulations to all the three of you. It is really wonderful to see two interesting things about this. One is, okay, Mr. Irappa Hunnur is a first time getting into MMQ, and he becomes a winner. And again, first winner from Aurangabad, which is also a good sign. As far as Mr. Sivaraman is concerned, this is the second quiz that he's winning, so which is also, I really appreciate Sivaraman for his efforts. And most interestingly, the third one is something that I was really very happy about. Vijay Sundaresan, an HR executive from Apollo Tyres, winning a quiz on MSA. I mean, that's really fantastic, I would say. I mean, I for one believe that knowledge on MSA or SPC is not just restricted only to manufacturing functions. In an organization, be it automotive or pharma or chemicals or heavy engineering, anywhere, I think across the organization, any department, they all measure something. So concepts like measurement system analysis, statistical process control, they're all very, very important. And any organization which is practicing TQM or TPM, these are very, very important in whatever way it is. Maybe the quality pillar of TPM, it's very important. And for TQM, tools like SPC, MSA are fundamentals to building, bringing in a cultural change. In that aspect, I really appreciate, Vijay Sundaresan of Apollo Tyres coming from an HR department to attempt a quiz on MSA itself is a very, very good thing to happen, I think, for MMQ. And I really expect, with this new attractive gifts that we have announced. I expect a lot more participation from different departments. I think the whole idea is all about enjoying this. This is you enrich your knowledge, you understand the nitty-gritties of these tools, but more than anything else, you also enjoy. You have fun, and if you win, I mean, many people will tell you this is a true or false. What's a big deal? Right, absolutely. I also agree with you. It is just probability theory may work in your favor sometimes, but it's fine. But what I would encourage you is, even if probably that has worked, luck was on your side, but still, if you would probably get interested and look at the explanation in the next week, I think your knowledge is enriched. And I think that's the very purpose of MMQ. The declaring it as a winner or the gift vouchers, they're all fun elements to create a kind of enthusiasm, and we play with good spirits. In fact, and what we've also done is, with this automation process, it takes the error thing out. Sometimes when you look at a large spreadsheet with about 200 lines, you may miss out what is true, what is false. So all that is now done. So we are also constantly improving our process and see how this becomes a good movement, where we have more representation from different parts of the world getting into MMQ, more so in the field of understanding when you actually implement. So whatever questions you're asking, they are not straight questions. They are not questions on which you will get answers directly from a textbook. Unless you do it, unless you appreciate the tool, understand what is Nanda asking here, and what is there must be some hidden thing that I want to bring out in each of my questions. And that is what it is all about. So keep quizzing, keep enjoying these quizzes. No matter winning or losing is not the criteria, but getting into it. And in fact, the excitement, and some of you also send me nice messages that we are actually excited every Monday morning. We look for what questions Nanda will ask. And that's wonderful. That's one of the best feedbacks I've got. And that makes me think, through the week, I keep thinking about what questions next week. So that's the beauty of it. And with Quality Month also around the corner, quizzing will happen across all the organizations and all that. So please, do not stop participating. So, and now even if, so I want to see, but see, unfortunately now, since it's automated, sometimes it could be the same winner coming again. We don't know. Okay. So fastest finger first. So as soon as you see the video, so that is why, if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you will get the notification. But otherwise, sometimes Mondays, depending on our schedule, the exact time, we're also trying to see, so can we upload the video in a particular time? So we will work it out. But I think if you subscribe, then the notification comes immediately. And it only takes maybe 15 minutes for you to look at the video and then have it. But generally, at the same time, I would say that the people who got the right answers, not necessarily, all the three were not necessarily the ones which had, responded much earlier. In fact, there are some quizzes where even on the third or fourth day, we got the third winner. So it is possible. So don't worry about the result. I think the process is very important. The learnings are very, very important. So take care. And I am happy that, we are getting messages that the pandemic is slowly getting in control, at least in a few parts of this country. And yesterday also, I was speaking to a doctor who also said that, yes, it is, there is some amount of, the herd immunity effect and all that. We hope to see this off probably, quickly, but nevertheless, keep follow the SOPs. Certainly, whatever you've been doing for the last, more than a year, please continue, so that we'll completely see this through. Probably, I would love to have, to meet you all personally sometime, at least in the early part of 2022. So with these words, let me bid bye for now, and see you soon. I look forward to receive your responses. All the best to all of you. Take care. Bye. This is Nanda signing off for the Monday Morning Quiz from PQSI. See you.